up. Everybody see that it's recording right now? It's just a different way that I've done it this time. Thank you, Valerie. I saw your thumbs up there. All right, so I want to get started today. I am so grateful that we have a guest speaker who is so knowledgeable and has such a vast background in network marketing. I had the honor of meeting him just a few days ago. He actually reached out to me a few weeks ago asking if I would be willing to do an interview with him about network marketing and the incredible business model that we all have in our hands. And I was a little skeptical at first because I thought, I don't know who this person is and I don't know how he's found me. But once we did some communicating back and forth on Messenger, I was quite comfortable that he was a very amazing person, and I was more than happy to help him with such an amazing venture that he has. He does these interviews not for profit. He's just really trying to pay it forward in our industry. So I think we're very fortunate to have somebody like him on our call. And I just want to introduce him for all of us before we get started. So, and I'm just going to ask if everyone hasn't muted their line, if you could do so, that would be awesome, just to keep the line clean. All right, so Mike he was born and raised in Japan, and he's been in the MLM industry for a little over 20 years now. His first company was Nu Skin in 1992, and many of you have probably heard about that company. It's still around, and it's a great company. And when they were about to enter the Japanese market, that's when he actually joined that company. He built his team with a few US network marketing companies as well. And those companies sadly went out of business. As we hear, this happens, right? We've heard this before. We even know our own Kathy Coover has gone through a lot of heartache like that. He was also the vice president of an MLM company that he started with 4 of his friends. And unfortunately, he left the company because of a dispute with an investor that invested in the company. And again, this is just showing us that there are going to be ups and downs, and some of us may not have things like this happen, but all of us have stuff that goes on, that's for sure. He got involved with another company that I haven't heard of, Morinda, and I might be pronouncing that wrong, in 1999 to help them open up the Japanese market, which is so great because he had that expert ability to help another company open in that region of the world. Then he also built a Japanese team for the first time and was asked by, now I don't know how to pronounce this word, but I've heard of it, and I've actually been potentially, like, I didn't actually join the company, but I was tried to be recruited to this company at one point, Janus Global. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but we can have Mike explain a little bit about that if he wants. And he helped them expand their Japanese market in 2012 as well. At that time, when he was asked to help them, they were doing $50,000 per month. And he built his team by bringing several Japanese leaders into that company. And then that company started doing 300 million per month in sales. So amazing, amazing accolades here. He's also been consulting for several US MLM companies in regards to getting the Japanese market open. And he's also an author of a best-selling Japanese MLM book in Japan called Thank you for being here, Mike.
Hi, Tara. Thank you so much. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it is such an honor to be able to meet you, all of you, and it's such an honor to be able to speak with you. And Tara, thank you again for being my interview guest. That was a wonderful gift you contribute to the Japanese network marketing industry. And I've been getting a lot of positive feedbacks. And because in Japan, perhaps here too, majority of people in the network marketing is a female. And I don't have many female friends in network marketing industry who are leaders. So that's why when you look at my YouTube channel, I only have a few female leaders I interviewed so far. And so it's a tremendous help for Japanese female female in Japan who are in this industry, so they can see, oh, okay, they can relate to the female network marketers in different parts of the world. And having leader like you really helps for them to be able to relate to, because they never meet anyone outside of their country. So it's very nice opportunity to see, oh, okay, that person has same struggle like we do, so it is very nice contribution you did for us. Thank you so much, Tara.
You're so welcome. And I'm so glad that I had that opportunity because it just really helped me feel safe to be able to answer the way that I truly needed to answer those questions without making things up because, I really want people to know the honest truth for different people. And not everyone has the same truth as I do, but it's good to know that we're all different and unique. Now, I did say we have a great Japan leadership guide, and you had a chance to look through it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you start by just, first of all, telling the listeners what you feel about this booklet that we have in our hands?
The first one is amazing because I've been helping many US and European network marketing companies go into Japanese market. And they never ever have a document like this, such a well prepared document and well explained document like this. I never actually seen any other company done this. This Isogenics is the first company I, you know, I've seen they prepared this such an incredibly well written document and well informed document. Also, it didn't bombard it with a lot of unnecessary information. They just picked the right information for the field leaders and any members of the company to know. So I'm extremely impressed. So all of you should really be proud of the company Isogenics for what they have prepared for you guys. So to me, this is amazing.
I'm so glad to hear that. And the nice thing is we also have just opened in multiple countries around Europe too. And the document is 70 pages long for that one. So because there's different countries that have different rules and regulations. So it's really nice that we can go to a guide like this and get our questions answered. But I know a lot of people will not read through this to find out all the ins and outs. And when I was reading through it, I remember being like, wow, there's some things in here that are pretty specific that we cannot do. And when I mentioned a few of those to you, you just started rhyming off all the things that are in this booklet without you even seeing the booklet yet. So would you mind sharing with us some of the things? And if there's some that are in this book that we don't discuss, maybe we can revisit those. But I know the first one was no before and after photos. Can you explain possibly, I know there was a question in the group, why is that? And do you know that answer, or is it just that's the way it is?
It's considered to be a medical claim, or considered to be a unprovable advertisement in Japan. Therefore, you cannot put the before after, especially when you're handling diet products or skincare products. You want to, of course, post the result, but again, that considered to be no-no in Japan. I don't know in Canada. Here in the US, you can compare competitors' products on the TV ads. Like Coke always compare with Pepsi. Pepsi compare with Coca-Cola on TV commercial. In Japan, that's illegal too. You cannot compare with other companies' products. You can only compare products within your same company. So this product in our company is different than this product in our company. But you cannot bring other companies' product and compare. That's also illegal in Japan. So if you want to compare your products to other network marketing companies' products or other non-network marketing companies' products, that's illegal in Japan too. So you can only compare whatever within your company's product line.
Wow, that's huge, right? And that's a big thing. And you think about that and it's kind of makes sense. I like that actually in some ways because we're so bombarded by comparisons of everything all the time and it gets to be like, oh my gosh, and it's really not, it's personal choice. It's nothing, a lot of times it's not always something that has backing. So I kind of get that. Now, another thing that came up for me, and you had mentioned it on our call just after we did our recording, was about when people are approaching another person in Japan. And I know a lot of people right now are doing a lot of that in the background through Messenger. Can you explain to me what is not allowed? Because some people are already starting that process and they don't even understand that this is a thing that we cannot do. So can you explain that for us?
So Yeah, this is very, it used to be okay. Now, because of, we have so many, in Japan, we have so many issues. So this became illegal. What is called, it's more like a blind approach, meaning here, when I started network marketing in the United States, my uplines or my sponsor always taught me the first thing you want to do is you want to invite, your prospect to the meeting, or when back then we didn't have a Zoom, so we had to have a conference call and all that thing. You want to invite them, but don't tell them what it is. You just tell them, I found something interesting. I want you to look at it. Or don't, when you invite a meeting, just say, let's have a cup of coffee and bring them to the meeting. I felt kind of uncomfortable, but that's the way it used to be back then. I know some people still do in 2020, but and so that also was kind of imported to Japan as a way of approaching people, and that kind of caused a lot of problem. And eventually, about 5 or 6 years ago, Japanese government revised the regulation, so you cannot no longer do blind approach. Which means if we want to approach your prospect for the first time, you have to get permission from your prospect to for you to approach. It's kind of a catch-22. How do you get permission from my prospect when I'm trying to approach them for the first time? How does this work? But what it means is you cannot just invite them to say, hey, I saw something interesting. I want you to, come to join the Zoom meeting or come to this meeting. You can't do it. So the, as far as the law is explained, when you approach someone, new prospect for the first time, you're supposed to tell who you are, and you have to tell them your contact number, legitimate contact number, phone number, or email, or whatever. And you have to tell them what company you're representing and how much it's gonna cost them when they enroll. Those four has to be disclosed for the first time you approach. Then you ask permission, is it okay for me to approach you? Now, again, it's kind of catch-22. Like because when you tell them this is the company I'm representing, this is the cost, is this is what it's gonna cost you. You're already approaching it. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, so that's the way it is. So as you can tell, this is kind of, it's not really realistic. It's government never makes something, regulation based on reality. They just make regulation based on whatever, they feel comfortable or whatever they think that's good. So the way we're not doing this work around the regulation, but the way we do it in Japan is a two-step approach instead of one straight approach, which is you first invite them to just for chit chat. Just simply meet, if you can physically meet before this, you have a coronavirus, we used to be able to meet, or, you can do on a Zoom one-on-one, doesn't matter. For the first time you meet with them, you don't talk about your business or product at all. You simply, it's gonna get to know the person, or you're gonna have a chit chat to find out what their needs are. So basically, during just regular conversation over a cup of coffee or just a Zoom friendly conversation, you find how you doing, how your family, all kind of thing. And if they express, I don't know if my company is gonna last long. I don't know if I have a job next 3 months, or they say, or my family member is sick, or I myself have a sick. Then okay, but even that point, you don't bring up your business opportunity or your product at all. You just end the conversation, as it is. Then a little later, you can come back and say, it was fun talking with you. You mentioned about your company may not, you might get laid off in 3 months, or you may not, you're not really happy with your job. I have something. I'd like you to take a look at it. Now that's the second time you're saying, so that's okay to do. So it's gonna be a two-step approach, and so it shouldn't be such very difficult to do, but you just take one extra step, meaning your first contact should be simply getting to know the person, finding out the prospect needs first. Then you can end that, and you do second time, you can bring up your business opportunity or product, whatever fits to that person's need.
Okay, so it is a little bit like what we're able to do. Like we do that here a lot of times. It's reestablishing connection or getting to
Hmm.
know the person first, and then eventually, if we see a need, we can try to explain what we have. So
Hmm.
that sounds great, but it's just we can't physically say, like the first time we meet somebody online and say, I have something that I think you might really enjoy based on your profile. You can't do that. You have to
You
actually.
you can do if you want to do it, but you cannot say I have something. And first time if you want to do it, I'm part of the company called Isogenics. I really love this company. I love the products, and this is the products, and you can do that.
Okay.
You can disclose it as long as if you disclose it. So so how you disclose it up to you. But if you want to disclose, if you want to do just you want to do it in the first contact, you have to disclose it. You cannot say something. You just have to say, I have I'm part of the company Isogenics, and this is the product, kind of thing.
Okay, fantastic. I do have a question in here that kind of goes back to the first question that we started with, the before and after.
Hmm.
We have a challenge in Isogenics called the Isobody Challenge. So it's a 16-week program that people, they might get weight loss results, they might get muscle gain results, they might even just get skin that changes. So the process of the 16 weeks, we have to take a before picture to send to Isogenics, and then we have our after photo, which is part of the contest, and they can actually win. The winner of the whole contest can win quite a significant amount of money, as well as all kinds of other prizes.
Hmm.
Would that be something that the Japanese population could not take part in? Or do you
they,
know?
they can take a part as long as it's within a company contest and it's posted in a company.
Okay.
So as long as they don't post a before and after picture on like a social network and say, hey, I use this isogenic product and this is before and after,
Okay.
that you cannot do. It's like a similar to like a income claim. You cannot really post this is how much I make. You cannot post the check. That kind of thing. Um, so before after, definitely you can post within a company communication, but you cannot post on the social network, or you cannot post as an advertisement.
Okay, so if the person did win, a lot of times what happens is they become kind of the face of Isogenics on the Isobody website and in the
Hmm.
magazines that we get. So is that still something, like, I obviously the corporate head office would need to know these details and they probably already know, but for our sake, would that be something that they wouldn't even be able to publish on a website or on a magazine?
If the corporate publishes it,
Okay.
that's fine. Individually, perhaps not. And and because if you do individually, you might get in trouble with Isogenics compliance department. Because they are aware of Japanese regulations. So if you do individually, you post the page of the before after thing. Uh, it may not. So that is kind of depending on the Isogenics company policy and the compliance. So if compliance said it's okay to do it, it's a part of article. So that if you're posting, like let's say you have a magazine, you got onto the magazine, and it's a one-page article about it. You're very successful with this program, and the picture happened to be on that page, and if the company says okay, compliance is okay to post it on SNL, that's okay. But if company says, no, we'd rather you not to post this part of the page because it has a picture, then you need to follow the company's compliance.
Okay. All
So
right.
I
That's
strongly suggest check with company compliance.
Yes, and we always get very good feedback from them. I'm actually trying to organize a call with compliance right now
Okay,
to
good.
help us understand a few more things. All right, the next question I do have that popped up right now, and I was actually going to go into this one next,
Mhm.
is about business cards. Now, I know not all of us can physically be in Japan trying to build our business, but
Mhm.
in the future, if people are traveling there, is it important to present a business card when you are talking to somebody? And also the whole face-to-face meeting, I know you mentioned that too. If time changes and we're able to be in a cafe with somebody, Can you explain how that rule goes with business cards and meeting face to face?
The business card still is very important in Japan. Uh, Exchanging business card means a lot to Japanese people, and I do have business card someplace. I don't use it here. I only take business card when I go to Japan, because here I never use it. So I use it when my desk get wobbly. I just hold it in half and stick underneath the table so it won't wobble. Otherwise, I have no use, of business card here. But when I go to Japan, I usually take a stacks of it. Not only 10 or 15 is not gonna be enough because when I go to Japan, I do sometimes hold a seminar and I have like 50 people comes to or more comes to the seminar. They all want my business card. And they wanna, so wanna exchange business cards. So I bring stacks of it, and usually I run out. So if you were to happen to go to Japan, meeting with many people, I suggest to bring at least 20 to 50 business card with you. And it used to be only white business card with your name on it with a title. That used to be traditional way, but a lot of Japanese people, new generation, likes to have a different personally designed business card and things. So that will be widely accepted. So as long as it's readable. And many U.S. Foreign leaders, when they go to Japan, they have a double size their business card. One side is English, the flip side they have in Japanese, and you can get it done in anywhere in Canada. Most business card company will accommodate that to have a multi, different language in the front and back. So that helps. So when you present the business card, you can flip it and present with, if you go to Japan, Japanese business side of business card, so they understand it. But the hard part is making sure your name is written right in Japanese, because some names are nearly impossible to write in Japanese. So Tara, your name is very easy to write, but other names sometimes can be like, huh, that you can read it. So, but otherwise you shouldn't have any problem, but it's not necessary. If you don't have a business card from, Japanese and English size, no big deal, just English is fine. But make sure usually phone number doesn't really help. So make sure you have at least email address, is on your, or if you have any your personal website, make sure you have that information on your business card.
Very good. Now I do remember reading about presenting, and I've seen you doing this.
Yeah, two hands.
And also I read that it's very terrible if you put it in your back pocket or in your wallet or anything like that. It's very
rude,
disrespectful. Yes.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit about that?
So the business card is considered to be that person's face, meaning it's a physical face. So putting that face, somebody's person's in your back pocket or folded in half is not very polite thing to do. And the Japanese are a little more relaxed nowadays, but if you are making serious business meeting, let's say one-on-one, you go to cafe, you sit front, one-on-one, you sit with the other person. When you receive the business card, you don't put it away. You put it on your table in front of you and keep it. If you're just standing, you can hold it in your hand while you're talking. And once you kind of move away from the person, you can put it away in your pocket or something. So, but it's important, if you don't have a table or anything to put it on, you can hold it. Then if you have a table, you can just put it on the table until you are separate from the person. So, but you don't have to worry about it too much. They know you are not used to Japanese culture, as long, so if you make a few mistakes, no big deal, as long as you don't fold it in half like I do. So
so you even do that?
I do that.
Yeah.
I have a space, I'm holding it.
And I guess you're in the USA now, so for you it's so much different here, I guess. And when you go home, that's where you remember the culture and you keep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they don't tell you anything directly too. They tell you something they want to convey you indirectly, you are supposed to read it. You know? Like, okay. So that kind of hard because whether you're a foreigner or Japanese, that's the way they often communicate. So uh, they want you to recognize the way because the way they're talking or the way because of the way they're hinting you. And so especially something they want demand or they want to request, they're very shy about it. So it's okay if you didn't get that sign or you're trying to like wrap around your head, is this person trying to tell me? It's okay for you to keep asking questions. Do you mean this? Do you mean this? So keep asking questions to find out what do they exactly want. Otherwise, miscommunication occurs all the time because of the way Japanese communicate. And even I grew up in Japan, up to age 22, I'm supposed to know how these things work. I still don't understand sometimes, like, what are you trying to tell me? You know, so
Mm.
it's okay if you didn't get it. If you have miscommunicated, again, it's okay. It happens all the time. And you just try to fix, oh, I thought you meant this. I understood this way. So would you explain to me what you wanted to tell me? So that it's okay. It's just a communication thing, and it just requires patience in both sides.
Oh my gosh, I think I need to replay that part for my husband and I because
I do that with my wife too.
right? Because I think if we are more clear and asking questions instead of doing these subtle little things, and even with our business partners, I think that probably a lot of our conflicts with business could
Hmm.
be solved if we start asking the questions instead of having silence.
Yeah.
I know I'm bad for that. I will admit that I'm very bad for the silence, but that is just who I am. And obviously, I could probably fit very well in that culture. So thank you for explaining that. Now, I did have a few other questions pop up here. Um, let's see, how popular or important is having a Line account for communication? And what are some social media platforms that Japanese are currently using for communication?
So the line is very, very popular way of communicating in Japan, which is, I have it here. I don't know if you can see it. This uh, green thing right here. If I click on it, line is like a this. It's a green thing. Let me try. If I click, you can see. Oh, sorry. It's a very popular way to communicate with Japanese. Many Japanese, first thing they ask you before they ask if you have an email, they ask if you have a Line account, and it has a pros and cons. The Line account, the communication. If you send a text through your cell phone, you don't know if you're at the receiving side read your text or not. But Line tells you if the receiving side read it, when they read it. So sometimes you get the message, you don't want to read it immediately, but if you open it, it considered to be you read it, and they expect you to answer it. So, so I get about 200, a little over 200 Line messages a day. And because not from one person, they do have a lot of Line groups, like groups. They usually leaders, network marketing leaders makes their own Line groups, and all their team members joins that group to communicate. And again, it's like a social network. It is a great tools, but it has a downside too, because sometimes someone posts something inappropriate, then gets everyone sees it immediately, and that gets trouble. So the whoever hosts the Line group has to keep eye on your group, making sure that all the postings are appropriate, and anyone who joins it, the person should be, you invited, that kind of thing. But you can also do one-on-one communication. You can easily make, 3 groups communications, 4, 5, whatever, if you get some point more than 100 people, something you have to do pay version, but it's just regular communication with a few people. You can pretty much use free version, and Yes, line is very making long answer, making short. It is very popular too to have it. And so many Americans use it. And they also, nice thing about it, they also have a translation feature. So if you type in English, it translates to Japanese, and if Japanese types in Japanese and it translates to English, I would say it used to be about 60% accuracy. Now pretty much up to almost 85% to 90% accuracy. So it is very reliable translator comes with line application. So if you are also Korean, many Asian use too. So if you were to interested in communicating with people in Asia, I recommend to kind of get used to using line. And also, you can use as a phone. You can use talk to Japanese people on the phone if you want to. It's free. It's a part of you know uh, Wi-Fi telephone call.
That's
So you
amazing.
don't. Yeah.
I just searched for it myself and
Hmm.
saw that little green, it looks like a
Hmm.
speech bubble. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anyone's looking for that, that's what it looks like. Thank you for that. And would you say that there's any other mainstream social media networks that they tend to use? I know it's not generalized. We can't say that all of them do, but do you think that there's one that seems to stand out more than the others?
The Facebook is still very popular. Here in the U.S., I don't know Canada, a lot of young people don't use Facebook anymore. They actually make fun of us. That's only for the old people. That is only old for my son, my daughter always makes fun of me. But anyway, in Japan, Facebook is still very popular social network because they don't have anything else to use. They used to have like I don't know if you still remember, it's like a MySpace. That came and gone very quickly. They also had a Japanese version of social network, and once it was very popular, but it was very difficult to join. You had to be invited to join, and it was such a pain. And that went away as Facebook became more and more popular. That Japanese version of social network kind of disappeared. So at this point, year 2020, Facebook is still the most popular social network marketing tools. And a lot of people definitely use Twitters and Instagrams and all that, but it's a little different than Facebook. It has a different features and things. But definitely, Japanese still use Instagrams and Snapchat, kind of things.
That's great. And I do love that when you posted the video of the interview that we did the other day, there were some people writing in Japanese. And of course, I couldn't read them, but then I remembered that there's that feature in Facebook that allows you to see translation. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was so good that I could actually read what some people were saying so that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, is this a good thing or a bad
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. Well, I got so many positive feedback, so I'm glad you could read it in Japanese. Facebook translation is about 80% accurate compared to Google translation or Line translation, but it's still they do a pretty good job.
That's good. That's good. Some of the translation was kind of funny, so I was trying to figure out what exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Also, the people, Japanese people make comment. They're not sentences are not grammatically correct. Also, they use very many slangs in it. So because of that, when they do mechanically translate, it makes no sense. Like, what? That's, how did they translate this kind of thing? But anyway, yeah, they did a pretty good job translating. Yes, I'm glad you use that tool.
yes, very good. So I am going to open up the line if you don't mind. I do know that there's one person in particular in this group who has lived in Japan before. So she's been giving us some feedback as well in the group as we knew we were launching there.
Mhm.
So are you okay with us just opening up a few questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so if anyone does have a question right now that you either haven't put in the chat or you want to just speak, or even if there's a comment you have for Mike right now, feel free to unmute yourself and share. I think everyone's in awe right now of what we just learned.
So they're just to this is something very different. You said someone who has experience living in Japan, perhaps they know too. the working hour is very different, meaning they're very late night people. Meaning I get up, I live in the West Coast time in San Diego. So that means I usually get up 5 a.m., start working 5:30. That meaning pretty much 9 or 9:30 p.m. in Japan. That's the time most people start working on network marketing because they have a day job and they won't come home until 9 or 10. So I used to hold the Zoom meeting 10:30 Japan time, and I get complaint from those people say it's too early. What do you mean too early? It's 10:30 in the evening. They say it's too early. We're not home yet. So I had to move that Zoom meeting to 11:30 p.m. meeting, and everyone was happy. And so it's late people, and I communicated with my leaders in Japan. Their time sometimes 4 a.m. and still okay. They're still up, and we're talking about the business in Japan. That's 4 a.m. And sometimes I get the message from through line say, oh, I just recruited 2 people. I look at the time. It's like 3 a.m. I just finished, three-way meeting. I just recruited 2 people. 3 a.m. And that's very common in Japan. And they get up in the 7 o'clock next morning and go to work, and that's their lifestyle. And it's very so it's very different than what we're used to here in the US or Canada. We don't usually talk about business after 9. I try not to call anyone or do hold the meeting anything after 9 p.m. unless it's absolutely necessary. In Japan, if anything earlier 9, nobody has a time, nobody's home. There's no point of holding a meeting, even Zoom. So it's the hours are a little different. So you keep in mind. So it's okay in a way to contact them 9 or 10 p.m. It's okay to still you're communicating with them even though it's past midnight in their time, and don't worry about it until they say, I gotta go to bed. They let you know I have to go to bed. So anyway, so that's a little different culture-wise because of the just the hours they work.
That's very good to know, especially for people who are, hoping to eventually build their business over there and host calls. So thank you for that. Are there any? Oh, Valerie, yay!
Thank you very much, Mike, for being on this call. And
My pleasure.
Tara is the one who she was referring to me. I spent 3 years in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
What part of Japan did you where you living?
I was in Niigata
Okay.
Okay.
I used to work there.
Did you? Where about?
I used to work for the Naiba Prince Hotel in the ski resort. Yeah,
Yes.
that's where I work during the winter because I get to work and I get to ski for free.
Yes, the ski tunnels through Niigata, that's true.
Yeah.
The snow tunnels, I mean, the big snow tunnels.
Yeah.
So I know in terms of the cultures and because I'm wondering in terms of network marketing, do you find that a lot of the people, and maybe these are our target audience or type of people that we would be attracting, would that be more of the women who are staying at home because of their children? Because I know even though times are shifting, it's still very traditional that the women, once their children are born, they will actually leave the workplace and they will embark on staying at home until their children have graduated from university, because it's almost their responsibility to make sure that the children get through all the schooling, and all the onus goes on the mom for everything for that. So would this be the ideal type of maybe employment for the mom to be involved in something to be able to get her going, because she does have the time during the day to socialize with other women that obviously the men don't, because they're in the workplace most of that time? Would that would be my first question. And then the other one is if you can also touch upon maybe the importance of Omiyagi if we do have that opportunity to travel to Japan, because that is really important, and what might be some good ideas for that.
Yeah, that's the totally different concept, right? The second one was, yeah, I'm glad you brought it up though. That's a very good question, both of them. Thank you so much for bringing that up question, Valerie. the first question is the target. Is you're absolutely correct. Traditionally, that's the way Japanese housewives are. Their role were to be expected, and the past especially like 20 years, social structure changed drastically due to more of the economic reason. A lot of families can't afford have their mother to stay home just focusing on raising children, which is to me, then a lot of mothers and wives start looking for part-time job to support their financially their family. Now, I personally don't like it because they just added more things to do for the wives and mothers who are already busy handling the housework and the raising kids. Now I have to work too, So, um, but unfortunately, that's the way society shifted, and so it's becoming very popular for two paycheck families in Japan. Therefore, but again, I mentioned that raising kids, taking care of the household, getting part-time job is extremely difficult life. So those mothers and wives are always looking for a little better way to earn income. Is there a better way to me going to work, putting my kids to the daycare, which costs you a lot of money, to go part-time job to pay for the daycare? It makes no sense to them. Right? Why am I doing this? Having other people raising my kids, I'm going to work to pay for that. It makes no sense. So a lot of mothers and wives are looking for the better way to earn money. So as you know, the network marketing fits perfectly to meet those needs. So definitely, like you said, Valerie, housewives, mothers are perfect candidate for this industry. Also, men nowadays are they don't have a guaranteed job anymore. That went away about 20 years ago when Japanese economy, bubble economy bursted. A lot of companies start changing their employment tradition. It used to be once you're hired, you're guaranteed lifetime to work that company. That went evaporated very quickly, and not only evaporated, now it's most company offers only part-time. It is very hard to become a full-time employee of any company nowadays. Only few chosen one get that kind of a privilege now. Therefore, even many men who have a job, they are constantly worried about how long do I have this job? I might lose this job next day or even like tomorrow or next week. They don't know. They are constantly living with fear of insecurity. So men are also very good target, especially if they have a family. They're constantly worried about this economy and their job security. So I would say I wouldn't discriminate your target. I just go for whole thing, both men and women go for both sides. And to answer second one, did I answer your first one? Okay. Okay. So
Yes, thank you. And you may need to explain what an omiyagi is too for everyone.
the omiyage is very, very Japanese. I think they do in Korea too, I believe. I have a Korean friends does same thing, and maybe other Asian countries. When you go to some place, let's say you go to vacation, you come back, you are expected to bring some kind of gift from where you went. It's called omiyage. Uh, when you're working, you take a vacation, you go take a trip to some place, and the first thing you what's in your head is, I gotta buy omiyage, which is you have to buy something usually edible and shareable with your coworkers to bring back to your company when you come back from your vacation to share with your boss or coworkers and such a thing. And to me, that's it's stupid, but that's the way it happens. You expect it. If you don't bring anything, they look at you like you. They don't say anything, but like you didn't bring anything. Are you sure? You left it in a car or anything. You want to go check your car? That kind of look you get. So and so they don't expect for foreigner to bring anything to them. But if you bring them, you don't have to bring any food or snacks to share like the Japanese do. But if you bring something local, doesn't have to be food, something small like a, I don't know, keychain. If you go to like a souvenir shop in a local tourist spot, they often have a little keychains and things. If you want to bring those, that'll be very much appreciated, but it's not mandatory. But it is, I'm glad you brought this point because when Japanese people visit me, they will always bring something from Japan. And when I go to Japan, I don't bring anything. So, so I kind of became a little more of the westernized, but they forgive me because they think my kids totally brainwashed. So anyway, but yeah, if you go to Japan, you don't have to bring anything expensive because if you bring anything expensive, they feel like they have to give you back something equivalent. So it gives kind of social pressure. So just something, it's not gonna cost you a lot. So one time I forgot to bring anything. I just gave them a quarter, US 25 cents quarters. This is my gift or souvenirs. Here you go. That's the cheapest souvenir I ever gave them. But anyway, so it doesn't have to be expensive.
Oh, that is so funny. I love watching Valerie laughing in the background because she's just like, oh my gosh. It's so funny because she knows, right? You've experienced that. Now, going into that, would it be okay or is it totally a no-no to give a sample of one of our products? Like to be able to say, especially if obviously the product is available in their country, to say, oh my gosh, you have to try this. Would you like to share the shot with me? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps that's the best souvenir you can give them.
Okay, cool.
And then, I mean, and this, that costs you a lot of money. And so it depends on, who you want to give that to, right? If you're meeting with 100 people, you may not want to give out 100 of them, but if you're meeting one-on-one or maybe two people privately, yeah, definitely. It's totally up to you. If you have a even smaller sample package or something from your company, definitely, perhaps that's the best thing you can give them.
Excellent. One other question that I just had, and I think we started to get into it, but if we were to meet with somebody in person, and maybe it's the same for on a Zoom call right now, but if we were, say, in Japan right now and we had a meeting scheduled, can you explain how that goes again? Because I think you said it has to be in a public place or something.
The meeting place doesn't have to be in public place, meaning you cannot enroll someone in a private room. So if let's say there is a many like a place like a metropolitan city like a Tokyo, that they do have thousands of rental meeting space. So when I was building my team in Japan, only meeting place I can rent was either hotel meeting room or city hall meeting room. And the hotel is very expensive. So I usually rent the city hall meeting. And then later they found out I was hosting a network marketing meeting. They kicked me out. Because it's a government facility, they cannot have network marketing meeting. I didn't know. They didn't tell me. But I didn't tell them what meeting was. But anyway, so I got kicked out. And so, but luckily by then they had a lot of private rental space. You can rent any size, many different locations by hour. It's very inexpensive way to hold a meeting if you want to hold a physical meeting in Japan, especially metropolitan Tokyo area. Anyway, in that kind of situation, which is a private situation, nobody walks by outside people. It's closed door, four walls, just private meeting situation. You can have a meeting, you just cannot enroll anyone in that situation because the prospect is confined. So basically, they consider you are taking hostage, you prospect as a hostage and forcing them to enroll. That's the way Japanese regulation translates it. Therefore, if we want to enroll someone, enrollment has to be done public space. So you already talked to this particular prospect, they're pretty much interested in joining. They just have a few more questions they want to ask you. So you meet with them and you answer all the questions. and that says, okay, I want to enroll it. Then if that's a private setting, you cannot enroll. So if that's a situation, you can have it in a cafe like a Starbucks. That's public, considered to be a public place because people come and go. Its doors open, close. It's third party people walks by, come and go. So that's called open space. You can enroll them on the spot. So that's totally fine. Um, but I wouldn't worry too much. But also, it nowadays you can do online enrollment. Used not to be able to do. So if you're like here in the US or Canada, you can send your duplicated like pulse isogenics to you get assigned your duplicated homepage designed by isogenics, right? Particularly assigned to you, and you can send your prospect to your homepage, the isogenics page, and have them enroll through the online process. In Japan, used not to be able to do. The reason is there is a requirement called the Gaiyo Shomen. It's a physical document you have to hand out in order to enroll them. So the physical document has to be either personally handed out to your prospect or you have to mail in to complete the enrollment process. Therefore, online enrollment could not be done in Japan. That's the way it used to be. So that was a very pain in the neck part. Nowadays, the Japanese regulation got relaxed a little bit on that part. So you can do online enrollment completely without prior handing out that particular document called the Gaiyo Shomen, which is the isogenics document you gave me talks about it. Yeah, that booklet talks about it. It's called the Gaiyo Shomen. I think that page someplace. Anyway, it talks about it. Um,
And we do have that. I know, Valerie,
yeah,
you said that you saw
yeah,
it.
page 13. It talks about page 13. Anyway, you can look at it later. So that used to be a legal part of the enrollment in Japan. But nowadays, you can go ahead, enroll person through your back office. That's no problem online, especially during NFR, meaning right now, isogenics is not officially opened in Japan yet. So during the NFR, uh, legally, any company is not required to hand out the Gaiyo Shomen, this document. But a lot of people, companies do out of their, um, uh, what's the best way to say, out of their showing they're seriously respecting Japanese law. Even though they're not required during the NFR, they are making it. So I believe Isogenics seems like they're preparing this document, which is very good. Isogenics is showing the respect to the Japanese regulations, and it shows Isogenics want to do things right in Japan. So, which is a very good sign. And but if you want to enroll someone, you can still do it, even though Japanese policy Isogenics open officially in Japan. Unless they make a policy change or compliance change, you can and you should be able to enroll online.
That's excellent. And that makes the world even a smaller place because we have so many technologies now that allow us to really be in somebody's living room, basically, like we are right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Valerie has one more question. Valerie?
Yes. So the one question I do have is, what is the regulation in terms, or is there any kind of regulation or that we should avoid of the type of people that we could actually enroll either on the business or in terms of the product? So for example, government officials cannot engage in network marketing. Can their spouses be engaged in network marketing, or are they considered an extension of that government official? And are there any, and in government official, that also means anyone in the public sector, like teachers and anyone working in municipality levels. So what is that little regulation? Because I know that can get a little challenging.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you so much for bringing that up. That is a very important question. There used to be all Japanese government workers or any public employee were not allowed to have a side business. So any doesn't mean not even part-time job. They're not allowed to have that, including network marketing. Uh, that kind of still stands, but past 3, 4 years, Japanese government kind of eased that regulation because they realized a lot of even the public workers having a difficult time financially, and the Japanese government cannot pay enough to support those people. So they're slowly easing that part of regulation, so you can have part-time job with certain conditions. They didn't, usually Japanese government are very vague about regulation, so they can always say yes or no at their discretion. But they didn't specifically say network marketing is not prohibited. So we interpret it as it's okay, and it's not really blanket the east, meaning Japanese government said, well, even public worker in this sector of job, you can have uh, part-time job or second home-based business. It's okay, but if you're working in this sector, you can't. So it's depending on what sector of government they're working that kind of regulates if they can have a second part-time job or not. And so the second part of your question is even though they say husband works particular sector, which is prohibits that husband to have a home-based business or do network marketing, can wife do it? That also depends on the sectors of regulation. So if that sector says you can do this, but if your family members wants to do it, it's okay. If some sector say no, 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 even your family cannot get involved with this. So that is it's all case by case. And this also doesn't apply only for the private, the public section. They also apply for the private section too. Some companies do not allow their employees to have second job or part-time business. So that part is also kind of easing up a little bit past, especially maybe past 2 years. A lot of companies start allowing their employee to have home-based business, second part-time job. That's okay. So as far as network marketing industry is concerned, regulation-wise, it's getting better, meaning its Japanese regulations are getting eased. So, but again, it's case by case. It doesn't cover everyone. So you kind of have to ask that person, are you allowed to do this?
Great question, and thank you so much for that answer. I am really close to the hour, and I wanted to respect your time. I had one more question. Do you think
Oh,
you
I'm
could?
okay. Yeah, as long as you're okay.
Oh, awesome. So my question is about network marketing and how it's perceived in Japan. Now, I know that they've gone through some ups and downs, just like a lot of other areas in the world have. And in Canada, I feel like we still have so much work to do to cut through the stigma, cut through the misconceptions, and really build this industry for what it is and represent it well. And that's what I love about your interviews. You're doing that in such a beautiful way, talking to so many different leaders in different companies. What can you tell us about Japan and what they've gone through in the last little bit, and how do they feel about network marketing? Is it well received, or is it very much like, I don't think so, that's not for us? Can you give us a little insight on that?
It is pretty much love-hate relationship. It has a both sides, meaning Japanese, most Japanese, it's very similar to here in North America, perhaps. Just like you said, Tara, some people understand. Some people say, "Oh, don't even talk about it. It's just a pyramid scheme, right?" That's the reaction you get. In Japan, it's pretty much same. Yes, past 3 years, the industry went through horrific cryptocurrency pyramid scams and investment pyramid scam. Just burned a lot of people, financially ruined them, many people. But uh, it didn't really hurt the reputation of network marketing. It's hurt more of the people financially who wanted to make a legitimate business. And so still, reputation-wise, the people would see network marketing. It's pretty much, you can say, same as North America. Some people, we still have to work on it. Um, and some people just hate it because even though they never done it, but they just because they heard a lot of misconceptions, and that it's not gonna go away easily. I think it's gonna take a lot. But I think North America is way ahead of Japan because here in the US, we do have a lot of people do network marketing professionally with a professional attitude, like Tara. Um, there are many in Japan. And so that's actually I'm trying to work on it. Make that network marketing is a profession. Right now, a lot of people don't look at it in Japan as it's a legitimate profession. And so Japan is maybe 20, 30 years behind as far as this part. And it's a long way to go. But I have a hope that if you keep working on it, making everyone is, this is a professional, so you have to have conduct this professional manner, and eventually they will get there. Um, but we still have to fight through it. But a lot of people still they've done in the past and before, and they love, they still want to try, give it a shot. And so I think there's still a lot of hopes in Japanese market for the network marketing industry.
Thank you so very much. Now I know that there are so many notes people are taking. I actually did not take notes because I plan to watch this again so I can take my notes. I wanted to be so present. Are there any other questions that have just popped up for anyone before we say goodbye and thank you to Mike? Or any comments if you want to just come on and show your face and your voice so that Mike can hear you.
Thank you for teaching us this all. I have really realized that I don't know a lot about other cultures in the world. And so listening to this really opened my eyes to so much more and made me realize I need to do a lot more research. And it was super interesting. And I'm so grateful that you did this for us, Mike. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for a kind comment, Ashley. Even though we have a Japanese and us, other countries has a different difference in culture, but fundamentally we are same people. We want to be successful. We want to reach our goals. We want to obtain our dreams. That is same. Doesn't matter if you're Japanese, Korean, Canadian, Americans, European. We are fundamentally same people. So I wouldn't worry about too much about it is very, very nice to understand their culture. Definitely, it shows you respect their cultures and you try to understand it. That's very, very impressive. But at the same time, I wouldn't worry too much about culture because we are fundamentally same people. We just look different, and speak different languages. But we still, love our families. We care about children. We worry about future. We worry about job, financial security, our appearance, our aging. We're all concerned about it. We are same people. Fundamentally, wherever you go. I built my team in Thailand before. The same thing. They just do things differently, but fundamentally, they want to be successful. They want to obtain their dream. So, I know Isogenics go in different countries, but keep this in mind. Isogenics, from this document, I can tell they're well prepared. They respect the country's regulations and culture, and fundamentally same people. So you guys gonna have really good fun with this company.
Yes, I so agree, and I'm so grateful. I do have a few comments I just want to read in the chat because you might not have seen them yet. Shan, one of a great friend of mine and business partner, such valuable information. Thank you so much. And Valerie has said something in Japanese that I will not do justice.
That's impressive.
So I don't know, Valerie, if you could come out and just say what you said.
I got it.
You got it?
She said Ohayo gozaimasu means good morning. And
that's fantastic. And then Janice, of course, another great person in my life, a friend of mine and business partner. So grateful for all your insight and time, Mike. Emily, And I'm super excited for Emily. She is in a very young age category, and she is going to skyrocket this business. I just know it. Amazing conversation and information. So grateful for your knowledge and willingness to share with us. Thank you. And if I've missed any, I apologize, but thank you so much, Mike. I know that this recording will go far and wide. There's a lot of people that want to hear it that couldn't be on today. Thank you for your time. I really do value
my pleasure. Well,
that.
thank you for being such a great leader. Not many leaders would do for their team. So actually, first time any leader asked me to do this, and so you're the first person, Tara. So I'm very impressed, and everyone should be really happy having you as a leader.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much, because we all beat ourselves up all the time, right? That we're our worst
Yeah,
enemies.
exactly.
So thank you very much for that. All right, you guys, you have a wonderful weekend and a great day ahead. And thanks again. We'll be in touch.